Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome to today's fun and free paint party. We are painting the Sprinkle of Luck shamrock today. And I'm just gonna make sure that everything looks okay. If you're able to join, if you're watching, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. If you are painting along, let me know. Okay. It looks like we've got good volume. Picture looks good, so I think we're ready to go. So if you're new here, my name's Byrdie Larsen, and I'm the owner of Redbyrd Designs, where we have paint parties. We teach women how to paint in a VIP group called Redbyrd Retreat. We create DIY kits. We do crafts. We have a craft kit membership called the Joy Box, and so yeah, a little bit of everything in the creative realm. Just making sure I can see your guys' comments. Okay. So like I said, we are here today for our fun and free Thursday paint party. We're trying to go we're trying to go live every Thursday with a little quick, easy noontime painting and get some creative therapy in. Yeah, just share and inspire and hopefully get you guys painting too. Good morning from Oregon. Hello, hello. Do you have snow? I see snow in your icons. We have, oh no, she's sunny. Sunny Oregon. Yes, we have sun, beautiful sun today. Watching from Moore, South Carolina. Welcome, Nancy. Okay, so as always, I would so appreciate you helping me spread the joy with the videos, helping the video get out there so others can be inspired and maybe use the tutorial to get started painting or just get inspired to paint something. So we appreciate that, and anytime you can give us some thumbs up and hearts is always a good thing for our small businesses to be seen on Facebook. And always say hi and where you're watching from. Just snow in the mountains. Okay, I saw the little snow icons in the comment and missed the sun, so yeah. All right, so let's get started. I am going to change my view here. We will go straight to the overhead and paint this fun shamrock. So let's get started here. I've pulled out some glitter, which I don't have on my original here. I didn't put glitter, but I thought that might be a fun little accent to do. So I pulled that out for today's video. And I've got my tracers here, and I am going to be painting on an 11 by 14 mixed media paper. This could easily be done in a mixed media pad or a canvas, whatever you want to paint on. Feel free to adjust the tracers to whatever size that you have, whether you're scaling that up or scaling it down. So I'm going to just line up my tracer here. So the tracers, if you get the tracers off of our website, the link to the tracers, I should say, and the supply list is in the description. And so if you want to paint along and you'd like the tracer and the supply list, you can go to our website through the link, and it takes you to a page on our website that has all of the fun and free supply lists and tracers, so you can browse through that. And when you go to the website, it's going to, there'll be the picture, and then It will say download here, and it comes up with a little spot where you put your email, and then you will be emailed a zip file. And a zip file is just a compressed file or a folder, a compressed folder of the files that you'll get. So in that zip file will be 3 PDFs, 1 for the supply and then 2 for the tracer. So in this case you'll get a PDF for the top and a PDF for the bottom, and then you print them out, align them, and then tape them together here. Let me just see here. Hi Nicole, hi Pam, thanks for watching, thanks for joining today. So I put my tracer together here, and then I taped it along the top. I aligned it with my piece of paper that I am painting on today, my mixed media paper, and now we're just going to grab a piece of carbon paper or tracing paper. We've got a dull side and a shiny side, so if you've never used this before, you want to make sure to put your shiny side down. So we're going to sandwich that between our surface and our tracer here. So I'm going to do the top part, then I'll move it down and do the bottom part. So a shamrock, if you don't have the tracer, is just 4 hearts really. So essentially you could just draw an X on your surface and then connect that X with the heart type shape along the side here. And that is an easy way to do a shamrock. So an X or 4 hearts connecting in the middle. Oops, I forgot to do my banner. When you're using graphite paper or transfer paper, carbon paper, whatever you want to call it, remember to just use a really light pressure. Typically the carbon paper transfers fairly easy, and you don't want to have too heavy of a mark on your surface, just because that can affect the paint. Whoopsie, I came undone here, so let's try and get this line back up. There we go. So we'll see where I left off. And some graphite paper can be erased, and I've found that some it's not so easy to erase. So keep that in mind as well. So the lighter the line, the easier it will be to cover up with your paint, and especially if you make a mistake. So the graphite paper that I have does not erase very easily, so I'm always very light-handed when I do my transfer. Because I don't want to have to worry about that. Okay. Alright, so let's talk about the colors I'm using today. I'm going to use a white and a black. And then I've got one green that I'm going to use for the entire thing. I'm going to use black to darken it up to get some dark tones. And then I'll use the white to lighten it up to get some of the lighter tones in the shamrock. So just one green, and it is an apple barrel called New Shamrock. I've also used a little bit of yellow. So I've got a ACRYLIC cadmium yellow today, but really any yellow in any of the brands will work. And I'm using yellow in some of the green to give me some highlights, but mostly just in the little sprinkles that we see all the way around here. I've also got out a gold, a metallic gold. This one's Anita's, but any brand will work for that. And like I said, I pulled out some glitter. I thought I might add some glitter accents to this one and see how it goes. These are just glitter glue bottles and a glitter glue stick that I think I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Okay. And for brushes today, we are going to use a large flat and then just a couple rounds. So I'll pull those out. I've got, what's this one, a number 8 round. And we'll get a liner brush out, and same size. One more round. I know I've got one here. It's a smaller size one. Oh, there it is. Okay, so just a couple different size rounds are all you need, and then a large flat so that we can get that surface filled in quickly. And then for the letters, I did use a paint pen. And so I've got the Posca paint pen here. You could use a marker, you could use a Sharpie, or any other paint pen that you might have in that case. All right, let's start with this black background. So this is just a solid black background, which is very rare for me to paint just a solid color black background. I usually blend colors to get kind of a soft, muted, blended tone. So a little bit different here on this one. So I'm just taking my large round and making sure to fill it up fairly well so that I can push that paint around really good. And I'm just working my way around the image. When you're using your large flat, make sure to fill it with enough paint so that you're not struggling to push paint around. It will go a lot smoother and faster if you make sure to fill it up. So by that, if I put just a small amount on my tip here and I try and push that paint around, you're gonna see that I get these dragging marks. It's a lot harder to get a nice smooth finish. You might see some of that canvas poking through. So don't be afraid to really just load that brush up. It can hold quite a bit. You obviously don't want it dripping off or having a big glob on top, but do just push that paint around on your palette with your brush. And what we're doing here when we're moving our brush around is filling those bristles up. Then when you come out, it just smooths. It's so much smoother. It's more enjoyable to push that paint around when you're not struggling to do that with just a little bit of paint. Feel free to change out brushes if you are just starting out. Sometimes trying to get into small spaces with the large flat can be a little bit more difficult if you're not familiar with using a larger brush. You know, work on all of the larger areas with this brush and then switch out to maybe a smaller round if that's a little more comfortable for you. But a large flat can actually do a lot of great detail, or produce a lot of great detail, just by changing the orientation of your brush too. You know, if we brush straight down like this, let's do it over here, I get a nice big flat line. But if I change the orientation and go more upright, and come straight down. You can see I get a nice thin straight line. So play around with that too. Holding your brush different ways can produce different brush strokes. So as I work my way around the shamrock, you can see I change my brush stroke to be more upright, or I change my brush orientation to be more upright, giving me just a little more control around those edges and a little more detail. Okay. And black covers fairly well. We probably won't need a second coat. I might do a little bit of touch up here and there, but I've got some pretty good coverage as it is with just that first coat. A lot of colors have a really transparent or translucent quality, and so having to put sometimes 2 or 3 coats is necessary. Yellow is one of them. And just other shades of colors too. But black is one that you can pretty much get away sometimes with just one coat. Okay, so there's these areas over here that are a little dry. I'm just touching up a little bit there. You always want to go light coats and layer it in. Don't overload your paper or canvas trying to create a thick coat, because it can cause issues later with drying, and you kind of get a gloopy mess if you try and put too much paint down. There we go. I think we are good. Alright, let's get that washed. So let's get some of this green out and start working on our shamrock. I'm going to get some white out so we can get some different shades of that green going. So we're going to use black and white to get 3 shades. And I'm looking for this little tool I got at the Dollar Tree, and it's got the sharp end here, and I can't remember if I got it, if it came the set of 2, but I want to say it's like a wood tool maybe or something. Doesn't say, but it's perfect for unclogging bottles. Sometimes you can find some pretty amazing things at the Dollar Tree. Okay, I'm going to stick with my large flat to get this first coat of the shamrock in. And this first coat, I'm just going to use the straight shamrock green right out of the bottle. I'm not going to mix it yet. I'm going to use it to cover that entire shamrock here. You can see this is one of those colors that is going to require a lot of coats, at least 3, which is okay because we're going to add a dark shade, and then we're going to also add some lighter shades to it. So we can still see that canvas coming through, or the paper. So does anyone decorate for St. Patty's Day? Probably a holiday that I do not decorate for. And our house is a disaster right now anyways, because we are doing a little bit of some remodeling. We got some cabinets for our dining room, some long pantry cabinets that we installed, and then we've got some cabinets that we put on both sides of our fireplace. Some bottom kitchen cabinets to give us more storage, and so now that's prompting us to do just a little bit more. I want to paint my room, both rooms, they're connected, so I want to put a fresh coat of paint on the walls because the cabinets look so brand new and shiny and clean, and it's amazing how dirty walls can get. We've taken everything off the walls, and I'm just looking at them going, where the heck did all this dirt come from? Hi Katie. Hi Nancy. Hi Mary. Welcome. Thanks for watching. Katie says, I've done a few things, but I'm ready for spring, so I moved on. Yeah, I hear that. These couple paintings coming up. This one and then the gnome next week will be the extent of my St. Patty's Day. I'm on to bunnies and eggs as well. Alright, there we go. We've got our first coat down. So we're going to let this dry. We're going to come in and we'll put a coat on our banner here. And for that, I'm going to use white and then just a very small smidge of yellow. So what I've done here is I've got white all along the front, but to make it look like this is in the background or pushed back in the shadows a little bit, I added a little bit of yellow to that. And we could also add just a little bit of gray and make it look like it's in the shadows as well. But to keep the tone with the yellows and the greens, I used yellow as a darkening shadow color. And it's just a very small hint of it. I didn't want it to be too yellow. So I'm going to continue using my large flat for this. We're just getting that first coat of white down. So we'll wash our brush really good, squeeze out all that water, all that color, and we're going to go right into the white and put that first coat down. So I'm going to add white to my entire banner here, and then I'm going to come in on those little tails and add a yellowy white for that shadow bit. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure not to pull into that green. That might still be wet, But if you do, and you see a little streak of green in your banner, just let it be. Don't try and cover it up or add more white or keep going over it. So I've got just a very small streak right here. We're gonna just let that dry. So if you pull a little green into yours, just let it dry. And when we come in with our second coat, we're gonna cover that right up, and so don't stress too much about it. Just let it dry, and that second coat will cover it up, no problem. All right, so we've got white all the way through the banner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this white off onto the side of my palette. Can we see that? Yeah, so I've got a little bit of white right here. And I'm just going to ever so lightly just come in and grab just a small dot of yellow. Just creating a creamy white for that shadow. Like I said, you could also go gray with this. I'm going to just get a little bit more. Start to see it kind of darkening up a little bit or getting creamy. There we go. All right, so then from this point, I'm going to start, there's a line right here where the banner tucks behind and then it comes back out, right? So from that point or that line, I'm going to drag my brush out with some of that creamy yellow. Creating that little shadow right there. It's not a lot, it's very subtle. And I'll just drag it out to about an inch past. We're not going to go all the way into the tails. So we're getting a little bit more of that for the other side. I'm going to put my brush right on that line and I'm going to drag that color out to create that shadow. And that's it. That's all we need to do to create that look that it's tucked behind there and pushed back. Hi Jess, how's it going? Yes, looks great. I have a class I take at noon, so I miss a lot of your paint parties. Yes, the replays for all of the fun and free paint parties are available, and if you can just scroll through our feed, but we've also organized them under the video tab. So if you go all the way up to the top of our Facebook page, under the cover picture, you should find a videos tab. You might have to hit more or something like that, and then under videos we have them organized in albums. So there's an album labeled Fun and Free, and you can go there and watch all of the videos from our noon classes. So they are all available there. Okay, so I think we're ready to start layering in some more green. I'm going to use my large round, and we're going to start with the darker shade around the edges here. So I've got a little bit of the green here. Get my brush filled with green. I'm going to dip it into that black, and with black it doesn't take a lot, so go light, start small, and just add as you need. Black is really potent and it doesn't take much to change your color, as opposed to white takes a little bit more. So we just want to darken it up a little bit. So you can see here, I've got the original green, and then up here I'm starting to see that darkened color. There we go. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just use my brush and pretty much outline each heart or each leaf with that dark color. So we're just creating hearts. back to the center. So we've got this nice dark heart here, and then we will do the same with the others. This one we're only seeing a partial of it. There we go, and I'm going to just need a little bit more green here. Mix up just a little bit more dark. So when you're using a round brush, the amount of pressure that you use to brush your paint on is going to determine how thick your line is. So with this brush, even though it's a smaller round, if I use a larger pressure, I'm able to get these really great thick lines. And then if I use a light pressure, I can get a really nice thin line and kind of work on some of the detail there. So play around with that pressure so that you know when you're painting, you know, how much pressure you need to get the thickness that you want. And sometimes it's a good idea just to play around in a mixed media pad, painting lines, right? We get a brush that we have, maybe it's the large flat, maybe it's one of these rounds, whatever it may be, and just paint lines going across your mixed media, playing with pressure, playing with how you hold the brush as well. So, you know, hold it this way with a medium pressure, what are you going to get? If you hold it this way with that same pressure, what are you going to get? So that really can help take the guesswork out of when and how much pressure, and, you know, because then you'll know what each brush is going to do as you're painting. And then you'll know how you want that to work in your painting when you're doing different areas. Okay, so I've also added a dark green on the inside of my stem here. Okay. All right, so let's now go to a lighter color. I'm going to let's get a little bit more of this green out. Pull it off to the side here. I'm going to wash that dark color out of my brush real quick. And then we will grab some white. We're going to lighten this up. All right, so let's do the same thing. We're going to add some light. Now this time I'm just going to add it to the outer part of my leaves. And then maybe I'll just create one little, like where the leaf comes together right there. Because we want to keep the center of the shamrock light, which will come back and add some darkness. Or we want to keep the center of the shamrock darker, and then as we go out of that, we get lighter, so we've got some lightness going on the outside here. Okay. And then let's add just a little bit of that light color to our stem here. All right, so we've got our dark, we've added a little bit of light here. Now we want to add just that regular green on the inside and fill that color in with that second layer, because we can still see our paper or canvas, whatever you're using. So we're going back to that original green and putting a second coat in the areas that we did not touch with the dark and the light. And I'm going right up to that light colored, that light green, and just brushing right next to it. And if I blend it in a little bit, that's okay. I think all we're going to need is a second coat. That covered pretty well. I'm not seeing any of my canvas peeking through. So let's create that little line here in the center where that fold of the leaf might be. So I'm going to grab some of that darker green, and about halfway up I'm going to create just a little arch brush stroke here from the center. I'm going to do that on all of them, just creating a line to indicate where that fold of the leaf is, or the vein, I guess. And then we'll grab some of the lighter green and just add a little, small little brush stroke right at the very top of that vein. We might see just a titch of one down here on the other side there. All right, so let's add some yellow accents to our shamrock here. I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to go straight into that yellow. Maybe mix just a little bit of that and get a really light, bright, yellowy green. And I'm going to just create some brush strokes kind of around the outer edge of my leaves here. Down that center vein. Kind of random little bits of this fun yellow green here and there. Let's add some to the stem. Just one down at the bottom here. And you can see how that just really adds some fun element to our shamrock, brightens it up. There we go. And then I'm going to just go right into that yellow. I'm not going to blend it. I haven't washed my brush, but I'm going to dip it straight into that yellow and just do a couple smaller little highlights here of the yellow. Just going to take it one step further, kind of going over the bright yellowy green in areas. And just really pulling out some of that color in certain areas. Okay, so I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to clean out some of that green, and I'm going to get a little bit of this fun gold. So we have to have some gold in this shamrock. And I'm going to do the same thing that I was doing with that yellowy color that we mixed up. I'm just going to come in and add some fun streaks here and there. I might go right over some of that yellow. I might find a new little spot for it. So just kind of randomly placing small little brush strokes around your shamrock. Sometimes that, depending on the gold that you get, well, most of the gold paint that I've seen has a little bit of some translucent features, so it allows the color underneath to come through. So if you brush it over the yellow and gold, you get a really bright gold because, you know, the gold is kind of got the yellow undertones to it. And then if we brush it over the area that has this green, we kind of get a greeny gold. And it's kind of hard to see right now while it's wet, but as it dries, it gets to have these really pretty undertones to it wherever we've put it. So it's a fun way to kind of dress up your paintings, add some fun accents. Okay, so let's work on the sprinkles. Well, let's move into our liner brush and add the white around it. So I'm gonna load up my liner brush with white. If you had a white paint pen and you wanted to use that, you could. For this step, because we're just creating kind of an outline around the shamrock. I'm going to just move my palette over a little bit so I can rest my hand down. So as you can see in the original here, we have just some white. It's not a solid outline, they're more like movement lines. So it looks like we're shaking this shamrock and sprinkling out some of that luck with these little sprinkles. And so we're creating that illusion of movement with these little small brush strokes all the way around, and then kind of doing a little bit of some outlining around it as well, just to help it kind of pop off the page from that black too. So I've got just a little bit of a rogue bristle. Let's see if I can find my scissors, and they are not here. Give my brush a quick little trim here. Sometimes a trim is necessary for your brushes. Okay. There we go. So like I said, I am just bringing my brush around. I'm going to start at a point, I'll drag it down, and as the paint is deposited and runs out, I'll lift it up, and then that's all I'm going to do. Then I will give it some space and start at the next one and go around that as well. So for this one, I'm going to start here in this corner and come around to meet it, and then pick up my brush and stop there. We'll go down about an inch away from the last brush stroke. Give myself some space. We'll start again down here. And then at this bottom, I am going to connect that stem piece there. So we're pretty much just creating large dashed patterns around our shamrock. We create a long line, we create a long space. So you can kind of think of it as a dash all the way around maybe. When you're doing outlining, do make sure that you can set your hand down so that you can give yourself a place to rest your arm while you're doing the dashes. That way you can really control the pressure more, as opposed to if we were holding our hand up to try and not touch something wet. So sometimes waiting until everything's dry is better. And then yeah, using a blow dryer is really helpful too. I lost my train of thought. My dog must have heard somebody outside. And then also remember to move your art around to fit you. You shouldn't have to bend your arm or try and get around a certain area to get to the spot that you're trying to paint. Mine is taped down, so I can't move it around, but typically when I'm painting, especially in my mixed media or a canvas, I will literally move my book in a circle so that I can easily paint in the areas that I need to. So move your art, your surface, your canvas, your paper, to fit your needs, so that you're not trying to reach in impossible ways, and it just makes it harder. It's not enjoyable if you're really, you know, twisting your arm and doing all sorts of different things. What I should do is I should have a board that I can take down, and then I can move my board around. Maybe I'll think about that. It just came to me. What do they say? Creativity breeds creativity. Good ideas. I need a board. I need an art board. And I think they actually make those, right? You can get a board and it's got a little handle. You can tape all your things. I think even some have a big clip on top. It just came to me. Okay, so now that we've got everything, we've got our long dashes all the way around, I'm going to add actually a couple kind of inside here too. Kind of where those hearts are meeting, or where my leaves are touching there. We want to add that movement, so I'm just adding some small arches around my shamrock, and kind of in the area where I already put my outline. So I've got the 3 there that kind of match. So we're just going to do that all the way around. Maybe make some of them a little smaller. Maybe only do 1 instead of 2. Just kind of keep it random and fun. Maybe some are shorter, maybe some are longer, maybe they're offset. You can already see that shamrock start to shake a little bit with these additional lines. And then also let's add some around our banner here too. Let's not forget that. There we go. All right, now we are ready to add our sprinkles, and I'm going to use the back of my brush to create those polka dots. I'm just gonna wash this brush out real quick here. And so instead of using the bristle part, we're gonna use the back as a little stencil or a little stamp. So go ahead and use any color. I'm gonna start with white. And I'm kind of working on the 4 corners, I guess. So we're kind of over here, and then we're over here. But you could definitely add these little fun elements all over the place. You could add them right on your shamrock. A thing to take note of when you're using the back of a brush, depending on the size of the brush, will also give you different sized polka dots. So this is a smaller liner brush. If I were to use my large flat, you can see the size of that the brush handle is different. So I'm going to get some pretty large polka dots. So you could also play with creating different sized polka dots or different sized sprinkles by changing out your brush. Okay, so let's grab some green. And then we will switch and do yellow. And I just need a little bit more yellow out. That bright yellow sure helps make everything just pop a little bit more. Such a great color to go with that green. And if you really wanted to, you could add some streaks of orange in, and that would go really great too. Or just add orange polka dots, orange sprinkles. That's another color that would look great in this. You could do an orange banner. All right, we've got gold next. Got to add some of that gold. Creating polka dots is kind of a relaxing brush stroke movement. Kind of get lost in the polka dots. If you're not careful, you can add polka dots to your entire thing and not even realize it. You just kind of get into that repetitive motion. It's very relaxing. All right, guys, I think we are good on our little sprinkles here. The last thing that I want to do is add my words. Make sure it's dry. I am going to use a paint pen for this. If you've never used a paint pen before and you get some, you do have to prime it, which means that the tip will not have any paint when you get it on the end. So give it a great shake and then use a scratch sheet of paper and depress the tip into your marker, and then that will help drain the paint out into your tip so that you can start painting with it. And that's typically something you have to do every time you start using it. You just want to make sure that you get enough paint into your tip to make your marks with. All right, so let's start by, let's see if I can see my lettering underneath. It's just a faint outline that I can see through the white. If you paint yours and you're using a different color than white and you can't see your letters or your tracing, you can just come back in with your transfer again and line it up and retrace right on top of the paint. Just make sure everything's dry. Or another tip is when you're doing the transfer, and sometimes I'll do this, and I've put my arm in my polka dots here, is to transfer it on with your graphite paper, your carbon paper, and then use a Sharpie to outline it. And what that does is it gives it a nice dark line that you can then easily see underneath your paint. Unless you're using a super dark color, then you might still have to come back and retransfer that. Okay. So I've also added some stripes in these little boxes of my letters. So I'm just going to add some quick little stripes in there. Don't worry about measuring anything, just little dashes inside there. It's okay if it's not perfect. This shamrock is the center stage anyways, so if our letters are a little bit off or our dashes are a little bit uneven, that's okay. And if you get finished with it and don't like the dashes at all, you can always just fill it in black and just have it be a solid color as well. Okay, then I've also outlined my banner, so I'm going to just come around the entire thing here. It's kind of not all that necessary along the edge where the black is touching, but we'll just go all the way around it anyways. And this one's a little thin. I'm going to switch to a thicker marker here. That one is not primed and ready. I've got more black. I've got too many black markers. I think that's the case. There we go. Let's try this one. This one's probably my favorite for doing nice thick lines. These thicker markers sometimes flow a little bit easier over the textures of different paints. There we are. Let's see, I think don't forget to put your little dashes back here in this little triangle area that is indicating the fold in our banner. And there we go. That is today's fun and free. Let me make sure I don't have any questions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's just a fun, oh, and then you could also add some glitter. We could add, with this green glitter paint, we could add just a bead of glitter. Oh, and that just came out in a big blob. That's not what I want to happen. That's all right. So I was squeezing this to try and get a line of glitter, and it came out in a blob. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my brush and kind of paint that around my leaves here and add a little bit of glitter to that. That with the gold I think will be really pretty. So if you have glitter, this would be a cute project to add that to. You can also get glitter paint in the bottle. There we go. Looks a little messy right now, but once it dries, it will have some fun shine. So you could do that with your paint, your glitter. You could add some gold accents, and yeah. So like I said, I hope you have fun with this one. Something fun. Get us using some bright colors. So we take the tape off and we'll bring it up here. You can kind of see a little bit of the shimmer from that glitter. It's not all the way dry yet, so. But it looks like we've got this little shaking shamrock that is sprinkling some glitter, or sprinkling some luck. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Like I said, I hope you have fun with this, and I hope you find time to paint. You know, we're all super busy. and I know it can be a struggle to find some time to yourself, so I encourage you to take your calendar out, write yourself in for some creative therapy, whether it's painting or doing something else. We all deserve to have an hour at least a week for ourselves to just enjoy maybe painting or doing some other creative activity and getting some therapy in, because once we are creative, it really helps us to push these struggles aside and recharge. So make time for yourselves this week, ladies, and I hope that you have a great week. We are painting the super cute orange bearded gnome next week, so hopefully you can join us for that. And if you paint this, I would love to see your art, so don't be afraid to share that on my page, share it on your page and tag me in it, or send me just a little message and show me what you've done. So as always, thanks for watching, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.